Well, actually, ma'am has discussed almost what are the rules, regulations, and few inputs regarding how to prepare, and she has explained strategies in depth. So timings, you know very well, morning shift and the second shift are there. From morning shift, that is 9:30 to 12:30, and second shift, that is 2:30 to 5:30. Before 2 hours only, you must be present in the center, that will be guided in your hall tickets. And few other things, like actually you need to you will get three types of questions, like conceptual based questions and memorized based questions and reason based questions. So you have to concentrate in like how to memorize the definitions, acts, dates, and years. And reasoning you must know. The for that you need to practice. And also conceptual. You have to go through with the concepts. So what is the use of uh, writing net, UGC net, NTA UGC net? First of all, you will get an opportunity to and take admission for PhD program in reputed institutions as well as institutions in India. At the same time, for full-time PhD holders, admission holders, they can get stipend also. And this is the main parameter for eligibility of getting assistant professor job in government colleges. So there are career options like getting an assistant professor job, as well as uh, UGC has its job portal where candidates will have access to lucrative job openings for net qualifiers, as well as opportunity to join government sector through qualifying in net. And also, as usual, for progress of your career, if you are in a teaching field, PhD is must. For getting PhD admission, you have to qualify UGC net, NTA net. So ma'am has already explained 5 units, so remaining 5 units I am going to explain. So unit 3 is comes under public international law and Indian international humanitarian law. So in that, uh, every unit you will be consisting of 10 subtopics. So each topic is one concept. You have to go through it. Like what is international law, definition and its nature, basis. What are the sources of international law? And all the contents like recognition of state and governments, nationality, immigrants, refugees, extradition. First of all, you have to understand the each word and its definition and its concept. And in depth, you have to go afterwards. First of all, you have to uh, get an idea overall. Then only you can go into the subject. And coming to the analysis of December paper, there are subtopics. From public international law and IHL, you will get more questions, and that too difficult questions. So you have to concentrate on this particular unit 3, mostly difficult questions. And among them, if you see type of questions, you can get like questions from case laws, that is leading case laws, and also definitions, and also you will get multiple correct. If you while answering multiple correct, you need to have concept again. So you have to follow the concept definitions, as well as you have to go in depth of this unit 3. And totally 9 questions from the public international law. Here we can go through like important topics, that is World Trade Organization. World Trade Organization is a specialized treaty dealing with trade and economic relations among its members. So disputes related to trade and economic relations are between the countries. Our settlement system exists to resolve disputes relating to obligations under the WTO covered agreements. It is not an international court of general jurisdiction, but it is a trade organization which deals with all the relations related to trade and economic matters. If you go to previous paper, that is 2019 paper, from WTO, you will get one question, that is concept, and it is direct question. Coming to the next topic, that is just cogent. If you see that, what is just cogence? You have to understand that terminology, what is the meaning of the terminology, that is compelling law in Latin. These are the rules in international law that are preemptory or authoritative and from which state cannot deviate. So it cannot deviate from the international rules of law. Example of such kind of things are like human trafficking or genocide or against any crime against humanity. Next one is United Nations, which is established in the year 1945 on 24th October. So the United Nations was the second multi-purpose international organization which is established in 20th century, that was worldwide in scope and membership. United Nations and its organs are, first one is General Assembly and Security Council, Trusteeship Council, Economic and Social Council, the International Court of Justice, and the Secretariat. So you need to prepare all these, like what are the organs of United Nations when it is established, what the organs functions of the organs, as well as where it is located and how it is working. Coming to the sources, how international laws are established, how it was framed. First of all, the actual materials determining the rules applicable to a given international situation and the material sources. Secondly, the legal methods creating rules of general application and formal sources. So sources of international law may include some kind of treaties, customs, and also principles of law, and sometimes the decisions of national and lower courts, and also sometimes those laws must be extracted from scholarly writings. So there are the materials and processes out of which these rules and regulations and principles are regulated, the international community are developed. And the other one important topic is IHL. From this also you may get one or two questions. Even though it is a small topic, you need to go thoroughly. That is international humanitarian law conventions and protocols. The two main treaty sources of IHL are Hague Convention, that too here you have to note down, and secondly, setting out restrictions on the means and methods of warfare. And the Fourth Geneva Convention, that is in the year 1949, providing protection to certain categories of vulnerable persons. And conventions and protocols, immediately how to implement those conventions and protocols. That is the implementation of IHL and its challenges, the fragmentation of non-state armed groups, the rapid development of private military and security companies, the necessity of limiting or outlawing the use of certain weapons, the challenge to the humanitarian law to fight against present terrorism. Present is you are seeing that there is a problem with China, Pakistan, and India. We are facing a lot of problems, and how we are facing and how we are tackling, and how the discussions and all are going to solve those problems. Latest updations regarding these we need to observe day to day also, because the exam may conduct in the month of November or December. At that time, they may ask questions, recent questions, whatever happened throughout the world. So you can see one of the example questions, which of the following statements is are correct? You just go through it. All members of the United Nations are ipso facto the members of the statute of the International Court of Justice. Second one is the International Court of Justice consists of 25 judges which are elected by the General Assembly. Third one is the judges of the International Court of Justice are elected for a term of 5 years. All the decisions of the International Court of Justice are on the basis of the majority of the judges. Here, they have given options A and B. A, D are only correct, and fourth option is A, B, C, and D all are correct. If you are thorough with one of the organ, that is International Court of Justice is one of the organ of the IHL. Here you need to understand and you have to go with the concept, then only you can able to answer this question. That is the third question. That is, third option is the right option. A, that is all members of the United Nations are ipso facto the members of Statute of the International Court, ICJ. And D is the another. All the decisions of ICJ are on the basis of the majority of the judges. Remaining two are not correct. So A and D are the correct options. For that purpose, we need to go through each and every concept. Then only we can able to answer. And the next unit is law of torts and consumer protection. Already ma'am has discussed what is civil wrong and what are the provisions and some provisions under Consumer Protection Act. So yes, again there are 10 subtopics. First, we need to know the nature and definition of torts. What are the general principles of tortious liability? That we will discuss in detail in the next slide. And general defenses. And what are the torts comes under specific torts. This is one of the important area where you need to concentrate more because you may get one or two or more questions from this particular specific torts only. Because in that there is a negligence, nuisance, trespass, and defamation. These four topics are these four topics are very important. You may get two or more questions. And next one is remoteness of damages, strict and absolute liability, tortious liability. What is tortious liability of the state? You will understand in the next slide. And Consumer Protection Act, that is 1986. That is the act mentioned in your syllabus, but recently also there is a amendment of Consumer Protection Act and definitions, consumer rights and redressal mechanism, and Motor Vehicle Act. From each act, they will give one or two questions. No fault liability, third party insurance, and claims tribunal. And also Competition Act 2002, prohibition of certain agreements, abuse of dominant position, and regulation of combinations. So all these are the subtopics here. And if you see, if you go through with the analysis of the 2019 paper, they have mentioned concept, that is direct question, defenses, again direct question. These are the moderate questions. And damnum sine injuria. This is the first question of 2019 paper. It is easy because it is direct and concept based question. And hit and run accident section 161. This is difficult because they will ask in the form of assertion and reasoning. This time they may ask this, but next time they may ask from other concept. So if we are thorough with concept and definitions, and we can able to answer assertion and reasoning. Abuse of dominant position, that means one question is from Competition Act, and remaining questions from one question from Consumer Protection Act, and remaining questions are remaining all the questions are taught from the taught. I have given one CCI URL. If you go through it, you can able to understand overall provisions of Competition Commission of India, so that you can get the latest updates in that website. Already in the group also, you know very well, I have given these two magazines. What is injuria sine damno and damno sine injuria? These are the basic things for any legal student, law student, or those who are studying, pursued, and those who are practicing. Also, those who are appearing for net also, they might be knowing that these are the basic things which we need to know in torts. That is infringement of legal protected interest without any physical loss. That is injuria sine damno. Whereas damnum sine injuria explains actual and substantial loss without infringement of any legal right. Then no action lies. This is the difference between these two maxims. If this is the basis, so if there must be a damage without infringement, there may be a infringement without loss. So if you understand that, that is the basic thing, then you can understand. That is A tort is a civil wrong. When there is a civil wrong, automatically there will be a breach of duty imposed by law. When there is a breach, automatically it will give certain rights to the person for a remedy. That is tort. So specific torts are, I have told you, there are four important things under specific torts. Again, based on the specific torts, there are leading case laws like MC Mehta versus Union of India for nuisance, and also Ryland versus Fletcher. So you need to gather information related. You need to go through with the latest case laws, so that from that only or related to that also you may get the question in the net exam. Now you have a clear picture about entire chapter, that is tort, tortious liability, divided into four categories. Tort liability may be with the fault, or it may be kind of injury, or it may be a damage, or sometimes it may be taken as a excuse. If you take fault, if it is a fault, strict liability, gross negligence, and divided into three, that is strict liability, gross negligence, intentionally they might have done some fault. If it is negligence, again negligence, under negligence they might have acted, so he is liable. If you go to type of injury, again the injury may be to the person or to the property. If it is related to person, again what kind of injury? It may be wrongful death, assault and battery, mental distress, or false imprisonment. Again, if you divide mental distress, it may be related to privacy, intentional infliction of emotional distress, or libel and slander. Then, if it is related to property, again, nuisance, trespass, fraud, product, unfair competition. Nuisance may be a public nuisance or it may be a private nuisance. So he is liable. In this way, they have divided all the tortious liability and excuses. Sometimes they may be it may be a negligence of plaintiff or assumption of risk. So this is the overall idea of your unit. Just go through one of the question which is mentioned in the year, I think 2018, that is assertion and reason. And they have given that negligence means a conduct which creates a risk of causing damage rather than a state of mind. That is the assertion. Reason, they have mentioned, it is safe to start a bus before passengers completely get into it. So here, first thing is they have mentioned about the negligence and what is the result of negligence. It will result some kind of damage. And in the second sentence, they have mentioned start the bus before passengers completely get into it. So here we can say that A is correct and R is incorrect, because R is totally wrong. Before passengers completely get into it, we cannot start the bus. So if you read from 1 to 4, you can give, if you read twice, you can understand the assertion is correct or reason is correct. If assertion is correct, reason may be wrong sometimes. Like that, you have to analyze and you have to answer. Coming to the same unit, that is fourth unit, here you have one more important, that is Consumer Protection Act 1986. And after that, recently the Consumer Protection Act 2019 also came into existence from July 20th onwards. So after its establishment, it is protecting and also enforcing the rights of consumers. This new act will empower consumers and help them in protecting their rights through various notified rules and provisions like CPC, that is Consumer Protection Councils, Consumer Disputes Redressal Commissions, mediation, product liability, and punishment for manufacturer or sale of products containing adulterant and also spurious goods. So these are the things you need to remember carefully, because whatever the latest amendments and the latest rules and regulations, we must identify and we must go through it, because you may get questions related to the recent and latest amendments and provisions. And here Consumer Protection Council Act will also empower to conduct investigations into violations of consumer rights and also institutes complaints, and also prosecuting and also order recall of unsafe goods and services, and also order discontinuance of unfair trade practices and misleading advertisements, imposing penalties on manufacturers, endorsers, publishers of misleading advertisements. You can see sometimes they may they may impose penalties of advertisers, those who are advertising against the rules and regulations and harmful to the society or people. The rules for prevention of unfair trade practices by e-commerce platforms also comes under Consumer Protection Act only recently. The Gazette notification for establishment of the Central Consumer Protection Authority and rules for prevention of unfair trade practice in e-commerce are under publication. So e-commerce platforms also included in this CCPA. This is the latest amendment. Now you can see one question related to consumer courts, that is, which of the following statement is correct in relation to consumer courts? National Commission has power to transfer pending complaints from district forum to another in the same state. State Commission has power to transfer a pending complaint from district forum to another in the same state. National Commission cannot have circuit benches except the permanent bench at New Delhi. State Commission cannot have circuit benches but can have two state commissions. So here we have to identify the correct statement. Before that, we should have total idea about what is state commission, what is national commission, what is concurrent commission, what are the functions of each commission. Then only we can identify the correct answer. And in the same unit, you will be having one or two questions related, direct questions related to Motor Vehicles Act. Here they will mention liabilities and assessment of compensation, and also voidance of contracts, restrictive of liability, some certain special provisions also they have mentioned, and claims tribunals related to section 165 to 176, special provisions as to payment of compensation, all the syllabus related to motor vehicles you have to go through. Otherwise, you may lose one question. You have to answer one question means you have to go through entire syllabus, that is Motor Vehicles Act 1 and 2. Next unit, another unit is unit 4, that is commercial law. All are very well known with the essential elements of contract and breach of contract, void and voidable contracts, agreements, and also quasi contracts. From the beginning, from first year, since first year of your law graduation itself, or even in the graduation itself, you will be having one subject related to like business law or contract law, whatever. So this is one of the easiest unit. First you have to go with the easy unit, so that you will have confidence that one unit you have completed, even though it is easy. Again, one is Contract Act, and another one is Sale of Goods Act, and another one is Negotiable Instrument Act, and also CSR. These are the areas you need to cover in this unit. Again, in the first, that is Contract Act, you have to know the essential elements of Contract Act. What is void agreement, what is voidable agreement, and what are the quasi contracts. And coming to the specific contracts, you have to understand bailment pledge and also indemnity guarantee. Who is the bailer, who is the bailee, and what is pledge? What is the difference between bailment and pledge? And who is the guarantor, who is the surety, what are the functions of agency. All these things you need to go with. That means you have to go thoroughly, you have to go through all these topics. Coming to the Sale of Goods Act, almost it is elements are relevant with the Essential Contract Act, and few extra topics you need to cover. And also LLP, that is Partnership and Limited Liability Partnership Act, also you need to go through. From that also you will get one question. Negotiable Instruments Act is very simple and easy, because in your daily life you will be going through with like promissory notes or checks or some other negotiable instrument act you will come across. Next, company law. Again, what are the how many kinds of companies and how to incorporate, and what do you mean by prospectus, shares, debentures, minutes, quorum, and all the uh, concepts you have to go through. And how many directors and what are the functions of directors, how meetings will be held, and what are the types of meetings you have to go through with. Corporate social responsibility is one of the latest that means important topic and gaining importance in day to at present scenario, because of corporate culture and all. Here again, by analysis, if you analyze this commercial law, you will get around 9 questions, and easy for you to answer, mostly moderate, easy. Only one or two difficult questions. Even though it is a difficult, it is a direct question. And Partnership Act is very small act only. From that you will get one direct question. And case laws are very, very important for commercial law also. At least one case law you will get, or one or two questions, multiple questions, and remaining direct questions. So you concentrate more on commercial law, you can gain more. Here, main objective of contract law is, that is, ensuring the rights and obligations arising out of contracts are honored, and the legal remedies are provided through Contract Act. And essential elements you just go through, like what is offer, what is acceptance, and what here one important thing is what is free consent, that you need to understand. And also what are the mutual and lawful considerations for agreement, and how it is enforceable by law, who are the parties present in the contract, what are the objects, what object should be lawful, and what is the possibility, and also when it is declared as void. All these things are comes under essential requirements of contract. If we can see one example question, that is, this is also from 2018 paper. Here they have given again assertion and reason. The surety has no right to restrain execution against him until the creditor exhausted all his remedies against the principal debtor. This is a assertion. And reason they have provided, the liability of the surety is coextensive with that of the principal debtor unless it is otherwise provided by the contract. So we have to understand what are the rights and liabilities of the surety. Easily we can answer this question. Like if A is correct, then you have to check the reason which is provided, that is also correct. That means A and R are both are true, and R is the right explanation of the A. Why? Because here liability of the surety is co-extensive with that of the principal debtor, because he has promised to pay the amount if principal debtor is unable to pay. So automatically it is co-extensive. So you have to understand this concept, and we should know bailer, bailier, payer, bailey, surety person, and their liabilities, bailer rights, buyer rights, seller rights, everything we need to understand in this unit. Here they have given one more example, that is, a proposal may be revoked at any time before the communication of its acceptance is complete, as against the proposer, but not afterwards. Read again, then only you can understand. You have to read twice, thrice, but with it, quickly, but you have to read twice or thrice. If you understand, you can give you can take the correct answer. Here, Section 5 of Indian Contract Act 1872 deals with the revocation of proposals and acceptance. When the proposals and acceptances can be revoked, given under Section 5 of Indian Contract Act 1872. If it is right, you have to see proposal may be revoked before communication of its acceptance, but not afterwards. So both are right. A is the A and R are correct answer, and R is the correct explanation of A. One more question, that is, which one of the following is incorrect? We have to see. Sometimes they will ask correct answers, sometimes they will ask incorrect also. So we need to be careful while reading the question itself. In the previous question, they have mentioned correct. Correct is mentioned in the bold letter. You just identify it. This is one of the tips. And here they have mentioned what is the incorrect answer. If you read entire thing, whatever the reasons are correct, you should not tick. Which one is incorrect, that only you need to tick. And another unit is family law. What are the sources and what are the schools, marriage and dissolution of marriage? For this, you have to go through entire like marriage act and dissolution of marriage, Hindu marriage system, and matrimonial remedies. So under which circumstances they can take divorce, and what are the theories available, and also changing dimensions of institution of marriage, that is live-in relationship, recognition of foreign decrees in India on marriage and divorce, and maintenance, dowry, and Sridhan, adoption, guardianship, and acknowledgement. All these out of these 10 subtopics, one thing is marriage and the dissolution of marriage is important, and adoption and guardianship is very, very important. Every year they are asking few questions under this topic, 2 or 3 more questions. Again, last one is for Muslim laws, from Muslim law also, they are asking 1 or 2 questions. So here sources and schools, just that is the basic you have to understand, and you just go through with the Marriage Act and focus on the maintenance, adoption, guardianship, and also you have to know what is will, gift, and work. Here, if you see sources and school, one direct question. Marriage, monogamy, registrations match the following. Like that, they have mentioned here. Hindu adoption and Hindu succession acts are very, very important. And from Muslim law also, they have asked 2 questions. So, what is adoption? Like that, you have to know the concept. I have mentioned the 3 websites. If you go through this, that unit will be easy for you to understand. Adoption is a legal process by which a child is placed with a married couple or a single female who agrees to raise her as their own child and assume all responsibilities for her. Nowadays, surrogacy is one of the problem. Again, who can, when can, all the rules and regulations related to surrogacy also I have mentioned in one of the URL mentioned here. So if you go through that, you can understand who can take the adoption, what are the responsibilities, liabilities, everything will be known to the persons who are going to write this exam. And one of the case law related to Muslim law, that is Shara Bano versus Union of India and others. Facts of the case are like this. Resident of Uttarakhand who represented the plight of several Muslim women. She had an ugly marriage and she was divorced by her husband by way of triple talaq. You know very well now that article is um, there is a change in triple talaq. This thing here issue is whether this practice of triple talaq is unconstitutional because it violates Article 14, 19, 21 of the Constitution. So the Supreme Court held and decided that this practice is violative of Article 14 because it is only the man in the marriage who can practice it and the woman cannot, hence the principle of equality is violated. So by virtue of this article, they have mentioned that it is violating equality. That is, it is violating fundamental rights of the constitution. Like that, if you go through the, I have mentioned one of the website, Legal Bytes, you just go through for Muslim law. Each and everything they have mentioned clearly, and you have to note each and every point also. From that only you will get two questions. And another question is, like Chandra versus Suresh AR 1971 Delhi 208 deals with, what deals with, which point they have dealt. Actually, this is also from 2018 paper. Directly, they will ask question already. That is one of the case. They will take one of the case law and they will ask that case law dealt with what, either maintenance or custody of children or Hindu undivided family, or it may be related to decree of judicial separation. If you go through the leading cases from the past years, then only you can able to answer. So leading case laws must, whenever you have a time, you just go through one or two case laws daily. So decree of judicial separation was dealt by that case. So that is what you have to go through with the case laws. And also they have given match list, that is Hindu Marriage Act 1955. When you are thorough with sections, then only you can able to answer this also. So each title, whatever the title mentioned in the subtopic, and related acts must be thorough. That is few sections, important sections you have to memorize and you have to practice. Then only you can able to match the following. Next, last topic, that is last unit, 10th unit, is comparative public law and systems of governance. Here relevance, methodology, problems, concerns in comparison are dealt with. Subtopic, first subtopic. And what are the forms of government? This is, you know very well, presidential and parliamentary, unitary and federal. Models of federalism, here you have to concentrate more, that is USA, Canada and India. So, what are the models of federalism? Rule of law, formal and substantive versions, separation of powers, that also you have to go with India, UK, USA, and France. Independence of judiciary, judicial activism and accountability, India, UK, and USA. So here just you have to concentrate and you have to read like stories. What models or rule of law or separation of powers. Then only you can understand what is the system is going in India as well as Canada as well as USA. Systems of constitutional review, that is India, USA, Switzerland, France. Here also you have to see, analyze the systems in these four countries. Amendments of the constitution, again in India, USA, South Africa. And one another compulsory question is from Ombudsman, that is Sweden, UK, and India. Finally, open government and right to information, that is again USA, UK, and India. Here, you have to concentrate, that is from topic 3 to 10, different countries, especially USA, Canada, and UK and India, and few more countries, and what are the systems are going on, and latest amendments, latest laws, provisions, rules and regulations you have to go through. Here if you see models of federalism, rule of law, amendment of the constitution, judicial activism, and ombudsman, all these five, that is around uh, 6 questions are from topic 3 to 10. So you have to go accordingly. You have to prepare accordingly, topic wise, each subtopic, and in depth of that subtopic you have to go through. And one more important note is that in the 2019 December paper, they have given comprehension based questions from constitutional law and jurisprudence last year. This time we don't know from which subjects they will give. That is total questions are 10 questions from those areas. Already ma'am have discussed already. Again, one more thing. time management is very, very important. If you are thorough with that question, just tick the answer and go through. If you are not thorough with, after getting time, you just think and write the remaining answers. So wish you all the best. And one more topic is one more last example question is, which one of the following is not a principle which is the very foundation of international humanitarian law and which must guide emergency humanitarian actions in armed conflicts? When you are able to know what is the principle of humanity, principle of impartiality, principle of neutrality and self-determination, then only you can understand. So go through the previous question papers, and from that you just make a small note of uh, each topic like this. If you are daily, if you practice at least 4 to 5 questions also, it will be helpful for you to go through with the concept, as well as you will be thorough how to handle the question and how to write the answers in a proper way. So international human, thank you. Any queries or doubts, you can post your questions in the chat box. Nagasudha ma'am will give the answers to your queries. Or anyone can ask the question by unmuting your audio also. Sudha ma'am? Pushpalata ma'am? Yes, I am posting feedback form here. Participants, please kindly fill the feedback form.
Ma'am, everyone can unmute themselves, no problem. I have not restricted here. Ma'am, we see whether they can unmute themselves.
Yes, I got, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just now I got.
Yeah.
Any questions, please? If anybody